that might help him out because he could be needing a supporter down the road.
And it looks like we are just about to begin. Tapu Lele starts for both players. Looks like Philip will be going first.
The respect for the Tapu Lele start, I like it.
There's another Tapu Lele hits the board. That Wonder Tag ability going to allow Philip to search his deck for any supporter card and add it to his hand.
Yep, Sam's just going to take a quick read and figure out what that does.
One of the interesting parts of Sam is that he's kind of a more comedic, more laid-back person, even at the tables like this, even when he's 8-1 at the biggest tournament in the world.
Yeah, it helps to have that because you'd like to be able to have that mindset. You wanna be able to relax yourself when you're playing so many rounds.
So we see the Tapu Lele Wonder Tag does find a Bridget, pretty common start from these decks, and that Bridget is going to fill Philip's bench 3 Pokemon. It's going to get a Drampa and 2 Trubbish, pretty much what you expect.
Yeah, he has those 2 Trubbish there for him, which means that he's going to have some single prize exchanges coming his way if Sam starts to use those item cards that he has built up in his hand.
And the Bridget, of course, can grab the GX Pokemon, and a double colorless gets attached to that Drampa, and then Philip passes to Sam.
Yeah, it's a nice safe play for Philip. He wants to go aggressive with that Drampa, whereas Sam might be a little intimidated to start with his Drampa because he's worried about Zygardes and Righteous Edges coming his way.
Yeah, so it's like Sam considering what to do in this early turn. He has a few different options here. We get a good look at his hand. Just considering playing the N. Just saying I don't need to play any of this stuff. I'd rather just refresh our hands. So both players shuffling their hands into their decks and drawing 6 cards.
Yeah, he had a Psychic Energy. He also had a double colorless energy. Doing 40 damage isn't going to do too much for him right now, so that's pretty irrelevant. He doesn't want the Drampa to come up and Righteous Edge remove that energy. He'd rather have that energy attachment on a bench Pokemon, and he's going to hope to get that now with the N.
So here we go, Sam Chen. First turn of the game ends both players to 6. Let's see what he can put together here.
Looks like a fairly good hand for both players. Philip's going to have some plays coming for him, and Sam is going to get that Pokemon down on his bench along with an energy attachment. Just depends how he wants to go about this. Does he want to focus on Trubbishes? Does he want to get that opening Drampa like he normally does in games? It's really going to be telling what his strategy is coming into this matchup.
So Ultra Ball for Sam discards that Garbotoxin Garbodor that you were saying isn't going to be too relevant in the matchup, and another copy of N that he can always get back with a Versus Seeker. Sam's going to take a minute to look through his deck, just determine what's prized. We already know what's in his prizes, but Sam, of course, does not, so needs to make sure that he understands what the contents of his deck are before making a decision.
Yep. And it looks like he is going to settle on that Drampa GX. It's a great opening attacker for him, along with the fact that Trubbish, if you go early with your Garbodor, your opponent can just stop playing items, and then your damage output is limited just based on whatever they do. So you'd rather control the tempo of the game and make them deal with your Drampa.
Yep, and it looks like that is the decision for Sam. Going to take the Drampa GX off of that Ultra Ball. You can see Drampa on your screen. One of the most versatile Pokemon. Definitely probably the second best Pokemon out of Guardians Rising after the other card you can see on the board, Tapu Lele.
Yeah, the
GX.
3 that are on board already.
And we're going to see a Big Wheel GX from Sam, shuffling the 1 card from his hand back into his deck and drawing 10.
Yeah, that's usually pretty good when you get to see 10 cards.
GX attacks usually pretty big. I know that we often joke that Big Wheel GX just kind of reads force your opponent to play an N because there's just no way that you can let your opponent just have 10 cards in their hands. So if Philip has access to an N at all, you can believe he's going to be playing that on his turn.
Right. We can definitely expect Sam to be able to pull off a Berserk with a Lysander when he has 10 cards, and that is definitely something that Philip cannot allow. So Philip is going to do whatever he has available to him to prevent that. It looks like I do see the N in his hand. Is that second card over to the left? But we'll see if he can confirm that for me.
Yeah, so we're going to see an Ultra Ball discarding a Psychic Energy and an Ultra Ball.
Yep. is able to get down. I believe that is the full art print of the Zygarde.
Yeah, that's a Zygarde EX, kind of a card you probably don't see a whole lot, but again, one of the things that is different about Philip's deck, and like you said, he does play that end, so Sam had 10 cards in his hand for about half a turn, but it's just going to go back to 6.
Yeah, he got to figure out about half of his deck just because he drew it.
So, both players going to 6 cards. So the Zygarde is on the board now for Philip, which is an interesting to have that out. I don't know. I'm sure that Sam knew what was up. You know, once you get to this point in the tournament, you don't have access to your opponent's deck list, but you try to like make sure you know what everyone's playing, and especially if there's anything important like that that can potentially hurt you.
Yeah, it's helpful for him to have the Zygarde down, and he found the Rainbow Energy, which means that he's set up for Lance Pulse or maybe a Cell Storm with a Choice Band in the coming turns. But one thing that was an issue there was when he plays that down, if he wasn't able to find the Rainbow Energy, he could have had a full bench and not been able to use Sam's Magma Base, which we're going to see probably this turn or next turn if Sam's able to get what he wants.
So Sam going into his turn now. Drampa GX hits the bench. Maybe not. Has to consider what to do first. He's going to play a Professor Kukui, draw 2 cards, boost any attack's damage by 20 this turn. Trubbish hits the bench. Drampa GX. There's a basic Psychic Energy on the bench, Drampa. Sam actually didn't have the Magma Base. He had it in his 10-card hand, I think.
Right. I was saying if he was able to draw into that, but unfortunately for him, only the Kukui was his draw supporter.
So it looks like he's just going to go ahead and Righteous Edge for 40, kind of getting no value there.
Yeah, if Philip didn't have the Rainbow Energy last turn, we may have seen Sam just pass the turn there. That's how important that extra damage on the bench is. You just can't allow your opponent to have their Berserk ready to go.
So we see a Field Blower getting rid of Sam Chen's Floatstone on his Tapu Lele before Philip adds a Floatstone to his own Tapu Lele and plays a Sycamore, drawing a fresh hand of 7 cards.
He found everything. He's got an energy, he's got a choice band, so he has the choice of either going in now with the Zygarde or he can continue with his typical strategy of going Berserk. Either will take out this Drampa.
So looks like he's going to consider what to do, just attaching the choice band and the Psychic to the Drampa GX.
Yeah, I prefer the Drampa here because this Drampa also can challenge a Tapu Lele in the coming turns, whereas the Zygarde would only be able to challenge the Drampa.
There's a Berserk for the knockout. Philip takes the first 2 prizes and immediately gets ahead of Sam here on day 2 of the North American International Championship. Good top deck from Sam, though.
Yeah, he's able to get 2 free cards out of his deck. Then that's exactly the time that you're looking to draw teammates, is when you have a knockout happen on your side.
Looks like Sam will be playing that teammates. So you can see it on your screen. As long as a Pokemon got knocked out last turn, you can search your deck for any 2 cards. So very, very powerful in a situation like this.
Right. He should be looking for Magma Base and a Choice Band. He has the Rescue Stretcher in hand, so he's able to rescue that Drampa GX that just was recently knocked out, and he should be able to hold a VS Seeker for the coming turn. So it's a pretty strong turn for Sam, and then he's just going to be looking to see if Philip has the answers with that Zygarde next turn.
So it looks like Choice Band and Team Magma Secret Base, just like you said, are the cards Sam is considering playing. Going to take a look through his deck, just make sure that's what he wants to get, but those are the cards he immediately pulled to the front, perhaps getting a Trubbish instead.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he had the double colorless in his hand. He does have that there, so we'll see if he's going to come to the same conclusion. I think that's what he's going to do. And, of course, you don't have to show those cards with teammates. You can keep those to yourself.
Yeah, so he does decide to get the Stadium and the Tool card, so he will be able to take a return knockout here on Philip's Drampa.
Yeah, and this is big. This is what Sam needs. If he wants to continue in this game, he needs to be able to challenge Philip every time there's a knockout.
Sam playing the Team Magma Secret Base, and then we're going to see that Drampa hit the board, so that Berserk is turned on because of those 2 damage counters on the Drampa on the bench.
Yep, and that's a knockout.
That's a knockout. So Sam Chen berserking back immediately, ties the game up for 4 prizes. Let's see what Philip can put together. Promotes that floatstone Tapu Lele.
Oh, finds another
Second
rainbow energy.
And a choice band.
Yeah, that second rainbow is really big. If Philip didn't have that, and Sam just goes in with a righteous edge next turn, there's a possibility that Zygarde just doesn't find a rainbow for the rest of the game if Sam is able to use an N next turn. So definitely a big play there.
We see the power of Zygarde taking a knockout on the Drampa GX and putting Philip down to just 2 prizes. Any EX or GX knockout will win him game 1 in this match.
Yep, and Sam's just going to promote the Drampa and hope for the best here. It looks like the only real option he has is to Righteous Edge and perhaps use an N, and then just hope that Philip doesn't even find any energy card. But we know that he plays 13. He's probably going to find something.
Yeah, he does play, for the record, Sam is playing 11, so Philip has a few more. And like you said earlier, because of that second rainbow, it doesn't matter. He just needs, Cell Storm. He can attack with any energy he finds. So Sam is definitely not in a good position here. I think Sam may have been taking a look at Philip's discard pile. I don't think there's many items for Garbodor to do much. I don't think is going to be able to. I don't think Sam was going to be able to put together much here.
Right. This is really dependent on just what Philip is able to draw off of the end. Sam's going to do everything in his power to put himself in a great position, or a better position than this, but we'll see what he's able to do here.
So that Ultra Ball finds a Garbodor, Versus Seeker finds the N. This is exactly what Sam needs. It's why N is such a powerful card. Just kind of the only thing that's really allowing Sam to get back in this game. Even then, it's close. Sam's going to need some unfortunate top decks from Philip to be able to pull this one out. But a player like Sam Chen makes very few mistakes, knows exactly what his outs are, even when it might be something like 15% to win the game.
Right, and there's a big diminishing return here. If Philip doesn't have the rainbow energy or any energy next turn, he's in a really bad spot because you can just Righteous Edge again and then remove all of the energies off of the Zygarde. So he just if he can stop him for one turn, then it just compounds on itself.
Unfortunately for Sam, I believe Philip drew a basic Psychic Energy.
Yep.
Sam does have an Oricorio, going to consult his discard pile very quickly. Decides to play the Oricorio, has already attached for the turn. Oricorio, of course, taking 2 damage counters off the Team Magma secret base. And there's the Righteous Edge. Philip just shows him the energy, shows him that he can Cell Storm, and that is game 1. Philip Schulz takes game 1 over Sam Chen here in round 10.
And wow, that Zygarde tech.
Yeah, so that basically went as you were describing. It's the mirror match, which is usually kind of, Drampa focus. It's usually kind of back and forth. But then, Philip just has this kind of silver bullet against Drampa. We saw him just have 2 energy and take a knockout. Just a 190 HP Pokemon. I don't know. I think Philip may have found the mirror match tech.
And that's wild because I haven't seen anyone else think of it. I've seen rainbow energies in this deck because people were just looking for a way to get that extra damage down to power up their Berserk, but they didn't want to use the Magma base. And we see that he was able to come up with this tech slot, which works out perfectly for a deck that you're going to see so much of. We already said that a quarter of the top 64 is using a variant of this style. So great job, Philip, for finding that, and we've already seen how successful he's been with an 8-1 record.
So Sam's down a game. Philip has kind of executed his strategy, showing that he has a good deck list for the mirror match. What does Sam have to do in this game to be successful and hopefully take the game?
I'm trying to think if he can even not use Drampa as much. It's hard to say that because that's the whole focus of his deck, and he's looking to remove those special energy cards. But it's hard to drought Philip of energies because he has 13. So you have to just find a way to make Philip use a lot of item cards. Maybe you have to use Tapu Lele as a main attacker even, and just get some damage down, and then use your Garbodors, because you have more Garbodors than Philip. You can win that exchange at least.
Both players consulting their opening hands. It's like a Trubbish start for Sam Chen and also a Trubbish start for Philip. Might be taking a look at Sam's prizes. 2 double colorless and
he
2
only
magma
plays
base.
2 base.
Wow, so with no magma base in Philip's deck to help Sam, he will not be able to turn on Berserk very easily.
Yep.
Those are Sam's again. Yep, there's Philip's.
And the only thing we're looking over for is if he prized that Zygarde, and he did not, so we will be seeing Zygarde come down again this game.
All right, so game 2, Sam Chen is going to start us off. He's starting Trubbish, plays a Tapu Koko onto the bench, attaches a basic Psychic Energy to the Trubbish, and he does have a Pressure Sycamore in his hand, discarding his entire hand, including a Field Blower, so 1 item for the Garbodor there, and drawing 7.
Yeah, able to throw away that Garbotoxin Garbodor, so that's not a waste for him at all. And he's able to find an Ultra Ball. He has another energy for the turn. He has plenty of supporters to choose from. So relatively good start for Sam. It's nice and steady, but he's got to find a strategy that's going to work here against Philip.
Yeah, we can see him kind of figuring out what he wants to discard with this Ultra Ball and what Pokemon he wants to find with it. A lot of decisions from Sam. Just taking a minute. He really, like you said, it's very important to kind of figure out how he's going to structure this game. Trying a kind of classic strategy of just attacking with Drampa GX did not work last time.
Yeah.
And he's just going to choose to Float Stone the Trubbish, retreat, leave the Tapu Koko active, and pass the turn.
Yeah, and don't think that he's going to attack with the Tapu Koko just because of this promotion. The fact that Tapu Koko has 110 hit points along with free retreat means that he has plenty of time to sit there and decide what he wants to do. But on the other hand, Philip just passed.
Yeah, Philip just drops the Drampa, attaches, and passes the turn. Doesn't play any other cards, no draw supporters. I didn't quite see his hand. I don't know what's going on there, but he just passes back to Sam, who's going to play a Pokemon fan club and start getting some Pokemon onto the bench.
Maybe he's just playing around Trashlanch. Yeah, we'll see what Sam's able to come up with here now. That's definitely what he wants to see out of Philip. If his opponent doesn't do anything, that's an easy way to move on to Game 3.
So Sam taking a look through his deck here. Interestingly, he has to kind of decide. You know, he might have had one strategy going into it last turn, kind of thinking, okay, it didn't work out so well for me. What can I do differently? And now after seeing that just immediate pass from Philip, he has to be thinking, okay, well, now what does this mean? Do I change my strategy now? Do I need to get a little bit more aggressive? Like, how do I edit my thinking based on that?
Yeah, looking from what I saw in his hand, he had a Psychic Energy. He had access to an Ultra Ball, which means that Garbodor could come out, and then he could have access to Trashlanch, but that doesn't do anything for him. He'd be looking to have a double colorless energy to even use Acid Spray and just have that knockout happen there. So he still doesn't have a knockout, and you don't really want to damage Trubbish just in case you're playing into Floatstone double colorless energy and you got baited by Philip. You can't have that happen.
See Sam taking a quick look through his deck, just trying to determine what his prizes are. I think he just realized, hey, all of my secret base are prized. Wow.
That's not good.
So he does decide to get a Drampa GX and a Trubbish. Pokemon Fan Club, unlike Bridget, putting those cards right into his hand. They both hit the board. Basic Psychic on the Drampa,
And
along with a Choice Band.
Sam has a Big Wheel available to him, which I expect to see. He had N in his hand, but he doesn't want to do that when Philip's not doing anything.
Yeah, we saw the Big Wheel not really have much of an effect on the last game, but hopefully, if Philip doesn't draw exactly N, Sam will get to start his hand with 10 cards, or start his turn with 10 cards in hand, rather.
Yeah, this seems like a very safe turn for him to do it, because if Philip had an N, he would have had to have played it. There's no way that he's thinking the right play is just pass with an energy.
So here we go, Big Wheel GX, 10 cards. Philip starts his turn. I didn't quite see what his draw was. He does have an Ultra Ball, so he can he Ultra Balls away the Oricorio and a Lysander, so he does have access to Tapu Lele now. To find himself a supporter, got to imagine he's going to be finding an N.
Yep, and he has a Rainbow and a double colorless energy too, so he can get that attachment onto the Drampa if he likes.
So Wonder Tag ability coming into play. Philip just taking this first opportunity to look through his deck, determine what's prized, and determine what he wants to take.
Yeah, you definitely have to take N here with the Wonder Tag. You can't let Sam have 10 cards. But from that point, he just has to decide if the energy attachment is worth it, if he would rather have a rainbow energy on the Tapu Lele and then just find the double colorless later. It just, do you want to spread the risk, or would you rather just invest everything into that Drampa? And we'll see what he decides there.
He does take the N off of the Wonder Tag, attaches the double colorless, evolves, and immediately just plays it.
Yeah, I like this play from Philip, but the evolution helps a lot too, because you're not just going to give Sam that knockout with Berserk, just the base damage of it. You make him have to two-shot a Garbodor, which is definitely something that Sam wasn't expecting. He's usually going to have a Magma base and be able to easily take care of a Garbodor.
So both players getting 6 cards. Again, the immediate response to a Big Wheel GX is typically just a plain N and kind of regardless of anything else. Just can't really let your opponent, especially in this kind of deck, start with 10 cards. Like, there's so many ways to just go double colorless, choice band, Team Magma Secret base. There's just so many simple things you can do. So both players refreshing to 6, and let's see what they can put together here.
Yeah, not the best hand from Philip. He does have a supporter for the following turn along with an energy, but you would think that he's going to really start looking for that Zygarde. If he can get the Zygarde and the Rainbow energy like last time, he has the Drampa as a big scary target, and then the Zygarde to follow up, which it was the reason that he was able to be so successful in that opening game.
Yeah, so we see just a pass from Philip, content to leave things as they are.
This Tapu Lele is probably looking for Lysander. Sam knows that he doesn't have any way to activate Berserk, and he needs to start challenging Philip, and one way to do that is to remove that double colorless energy from the Drampa.
So you're predicting a Lysander for the Drampa, then Righteous Edge, get rid of that double colorless. It looks like that's what Sam is planning to do. He does take the Lysander after taking some time to count his Versus Seekers.
Yeah, this just seems like the best play available to Sam. He just hasn't really been able to do much when he looks and sees that he can never place damage onto his side of the field. So this is a safe play for him. It also challenges Philip. Philip needs to have a response here, and this also means that Philip isn't able to play a Rainbow Energy and the double colorless in the same turn, obviously. So Berserk counter attack isn't going to happen for 150 or potential 180.
Yeah, so there's a Righteous Edge, 50 damage, getting rid of the double colorless, putting Philip in a really awkward position here. Consulting his hand, but it doesn't look like he knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, he has N, but Sam just played his hand down relatively low, so you don't really want to do that, but he has to. He has to keep going, and he doesn't want to play any energies onto the Drampa. He'd rather start to work on his Zygarde, so adding anything extra to the Drampa there kind of just seems silly. You're going to lose that energy.
Yeah, especially I think the only energy was the Rainbow, so it's just definitely
that'd be bad.
Righteous Edge
You don't do
off.
that.
No, both players getting 6 cards off this end. No prizes taken so far in Game 2.
Yep, we're just going to see if Philip's able to either find that Zygarde, the copy itself, or if he can just find an Ultra Ball, because he needs to start working on that. And a lot of energies.
Yeah, a lot of energy. No Zygarde, no Ultra Ball, just energy and supporters versus Seekers, ways to get supporters. Rainbow energy on the Garbodor on the bench.
Yeah, you would think that he would like to hold on to that Rainbow for the Zygarde, but it's actually more important for him to play this now, because that means that this Drampa, even though it's already has some damage on it, it can potentially get a big swing, find a double colorless energy and a choice band, and then have a return knockout on Drampa, because he's seen that Sam hasn't played a Magma base down. There's still a possibility that he just isn't able to get that Berserk knockout.
Yeah, so second Big Wheel GX of the game. Both players have flipped their GX counters, 10 cards for Philip. Teammates off the top for Sam. Not able to play it in this position.
Yeah, and the supporter of choice for Sam is, once again, it's going to be that N. You can't let big wheel happen. That's when bad things happen.
Looks like Sam is considering playing a Drampa onto the bench. Once again, we know that he does not have access to Team Magma's secret base. Psychic Energy gets attached to that Drampa, and here is the N once again.
Yeah, normally you want to save that last spot there for the Magma base, and then placing a Pokemon down to have 20 damage on it. But he knows that that's prized. He kind of gives Philip a little bit of information that he may have already had because you haven't seen a Magma base in so long. But it's important for Sam to have that extra attacker available for him with that Drampa. So an important play for him there, and the biggest piece, having that N to counter the big wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. We have not seen, at least the games that I've casted, we have not seen a big wheel successfully happen. Just 10 cards in hand, and you get to start your turn and do everything you want.
Yeah, those games usually end pretty quickly afterwards.
You do see that Sam has a double colorless energy in hand. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and Righteous Edge for another 50 damage.
Yep. And now it's up to Philip in his hand. He's got a double colorless energy. If he has a choice band, he's able to take a knockout here on the Drampa. So any supporter that can really get his hand a little bit further is what he's going to be looking for.
Taking a look at Sam's discard pile before deciding what he should do. Maybe taking a look at his own as well. Floatstone on the active Drampa GX.
Yeah, he may have been counting how many item cards Sam's played, because this Floatstone means that he's no longer going to be focusing on a Berserk knockout. Because of that, there's no way to play the choice band there as well. So he had the option there, actually, with the choice band and double colorless, but he just may have a little more of a read on how many items are in Sam's discard pile. That may be enough for a knockout. I haven't been keeping track of it.
Yeah, I did not see how many there were, but if we see a Trash Lance this turn, we can figure that out. Another N being played. Seems like the most popular supporter in this match. Both players resetting to 6. Yeah, like you said, Philip could have gone in with that Drampa and taken a knockout with the double colorless and a choice band, but choosing to take a little bit more of a conservative route and move that Drampa safely to the bench.
Yep, and it looks like that's the Zygarde. That should be very helpful. He's been looking for that, because as soon as you get that online, it's pretty difficult to stop. Also able to find an energy with that, that definitely rewards him for the play of not playing an energy card in his hand previous to the end.
Yeah, so that Zygarde, the kind of the trump card in the matchup, hits the board, and now Philip taking a little bit of time to think about what he wants to do. I can't imagine there are that many items in
That'd be a lot, yeah.
discard pile. That
just looking at how high his discard pile stacks, it looks like there's only maybe 7 or 8 cards in their total. So I don't know if Sam's gone that far.
And it looks like Philip will just retreat to the Tapu Lele GX and pass the turn to Sam.
Yeah, this is a pretty safe play for Philip. He gets to buy a little more time. He knows that the Tapu Lele cannot get knocked out because Sam doesn't play Rainbow Energies. And he'd also need another attachment to do the Berserk even. So he knows that this Tapu Lele probably is going to take 50, and then he just has another turn to find that Rainbow Energy and get moving with the Zygarde. Already with the Floatstone in hand for the Tapu Lele to retreat whenever he needs.
And Sam evolving to a Garbodor, evolving that Trubbish that has the energy on it. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't see why not. The only other potential reason would be because he just wants to evolve the other Trubbish, but I think having the Floatstone on there isn't going to hurt you in any way. You're not trying to choice band knock out these GX Pokemon. You're trying to counter the other Garbodors generally.
Yeah, neither of these players. It kind of is interesting when you get into the Garbodor mirror match where kind of during the early to mid game, you want to be playing as few items as possible, and then oftentimes you kind of get to the point where, oh, well, my opponent was able to clean up with a Garbodor, and now, Garbodor's weak to Psychics, and now I can start hitting it. It kind of just becomes like, oh, well, whatever, I'm just going to play all my items now.
Right.
We see a Lysander from Sam, brings up that Garbodor with the Rainbow and Choice Band attached, and another Righteous Edge. Just going to do 20 this time and knock off that Rainbow Energy.
Yeah, Sam's going to make this game as awkward as possible for Philip. If he can remove all of the special energy cards out, how does Philip win the game?
Well, so speaking of special energy, double colorless on Drampa GX and just a passing of the turn, that Garbodor stuck active for Philip.
Yep, and Sam has access to more Lysander if he so chooses. He can just continue to follow where the special energies go, and that's his plan.
Yep, evolves to Garbodor, Righteous Edge immediately. Discards that double colorless, 50 damage, passes back to Philip.
I mean, we were talking about ways that Sam can come back and take this game, and when that Zygarde on the other side is so scary, and this seems to be the way. He's just not going to let Philip attack him because he can remove all the energies slow and steady.
Yep, and another pass of the turn. Professor Kukui is the draw for Sam. He will play it, draw 2 cards, boost any damage he does this turn by 20. Taking a look through his discard pile, counting his items. Looks like 4 in there?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
And one unfortunate part for Sam is, although he's able to remove all these items over on Philip's side, he hasn't been able to find, or rather these energies, he hasn't been able to find any energies for himself. He isn't able to progress his own board. He's just been using Lysander, this time using the Kukui, and that only drew him 2 cards. He hasn't been able to get deeper into his deck and find those energies.
Yeah, he just has the 3 energy on the board, but they're all kind of spread out. Philip has to pass the turn back. Looks like Tapu Lele GX was a draw for Sam. Unfortunately for him, his bench is full. And there's another Righteous Edge
50.
for 50. I know Philip does have energy in his hand. They're both special, unfortunately. They are the Rainbow and double colorless. So will we see another pass here?
Yeah, he doesn't want to commit that Rainbow energy to the Zygarde until the turn that he's taking a knockout. So he has to hold on to it, and it looks like he's just going to try to set up some damage of his own and just put 20 on this Drampa.
Yeah, just retreating, Righteous Edging, kind of for no value there, no special energy discarded, just doing a 20 damage. Not even a Choice Band to boost that damage at all, but he just wants to soften it up for the Zygarde.
Yep, that's right. He would be able to do. He's still going to be looking for a couple more cards to take the knockout on the Drampa, but it does help him to apply a little bit of pressure on his own. I'm looking over at Sam's side, and we could even see Tapu Koko come in some turns with the damage, the way that it's lined up on Philip's side. This is just such an interesting game, the way that this is panned out.
Yeah, Tapu Koko, a card we've just kind of seen throughout the weekend have a little bit of utility, but not really be great versus anything. There's not a lot of Gyarados of this tournament, nothing like that. But it's just a very solid card. That free retreat kind of pushes it over the top.
And it's terrible in this matchup. You don't want to give your opponent damage to set off their Berserks, but that might actually just be the line.
Yeah, we see Sam versus Seekering for the Kukui here. So he can draw 2 cards, do 20 more damage to the active Pokemon, and that will set it up for a potential Tapu Koko flying flip.
Yeah, he sees the lines, and I think he's doing this on purpose. He's going to be able to have 4 prizes available to him whenever he finds the double colorless energy that he's been looking for almost the whole game.
And we see another Righteous Edge there. This time doing 70 damage because of the Kukui. And Philip, considering his options, no supporters except that Lysander, no way to draw cards that I saw. Just some energy, taking a quick look through Sam's discard pile, counting the number of items and other resources he's used. And there's really no way, because of the Tapu Koko being able to hit the bench, there's really no way for Philip to get out of this. It's just going to happen if Sam chooses to do. Retreating to the Garbodor and passing the turn back.
Yep, he finds the double colorless energy
off the top.
And that he could even just Berserk in and set up some more damage on Garbodor if he wants to. He can hold that and save it for the turn that he wants to Koko. He has a lot of options in his hand available to him.
So that we do see Sam draws the double color, so now has to think about what to do. Is choosing to attach it to the active Drampa GX.
Yep, unfortunately the math is a little weird. He's going to be able to place 80 damage. He would have hoped to seen a number like 100 so that the Tapu would then take 5 prizes on that big swing turn with the flying flip. But this helps too. This also means that he could just choose to use Righteous Edge next turn if this Garbodor doesn't get out of the active spot, but we see the flip zone.
Well, yeah, the thing is, too, is he just kind of knows that those prizes are just there. You know, there's no healing, there's no, scoop-up effects or anything like that. We see a Rainbow Energy get attached to the Zygarde and an N, bringing both players, if you can believe it, back to 6 cards. No prizes taken yet in this game.
Yeah, but upwards of 300 damage is on the board, so we got to keep an eye out for that. Big draw here for Philip. Has to find a choice band if he's able to, if he wants to take a knockout, and it looks like that's the first card.
And we see Sam does have the double colorless and a teammate, so he will be set up for next turn as well. And you got to believe that choice band's coming down on that Zygarde. It is Retreat. And we're going to see a Cell Storm for the knockout. So
That's
first
right.
prizes of the game taken by Philip there, down to 4 prizes, up a game. Just under 15 minutes remaining in round 10. That Tapu Koko gets promoted.
Yep, and this is a bit awkward for Sam. Generally, when you take a big swing and take a bunch of prizes in one turn, you're hoping that that wins the game for you, because then you're not susceptible to an N on the following turn. But because he doesn't have the Magma base in order to set up that final big knockout with a Berserk and the Drampa, it looks like he has to do the flying flip first, take those 4 prizes, and then hope that he doesn't get N'd or hope that he finds cards off that N to continue to stay in this game.
Taking a look through Philip's discard pile, considering what he wants to put together here, is Sam Chen. A lot of decisions to be made with something like a teammates and what attack he wants to make, exactly how he wants to structure this turn.
Yeah, I think he also is counting out the Oricorio damage for himself. The way that the flying flip works, he would leave one of the Garbodors with 20 hit points remaining. The other Garbodor would have 70 hit points remaining. So if there ever could get to 9 Pokemon, then he'd have a way to finish the game out. It looks like that would be really difficult to do, though, because he's only going to get 2 more Pokemon in the discard with the knockout that he's going to get.
Yeah, Philip only runs a total of, it looks like, 14 Pokemon, so getting 9 in there would be pretty ambitious, but you can always set up for a multiple turn play.
Right.
Sam, always, one of the players who's always going to be aware of that sort of stuff, just always playing to his outs. Even this kind of type of Koko play is not super intuitive. He saw that and is going to definitely be checking and be aware of every possible thing he can do.
Yep, this is just a time where Sam can decide maybe this choice band is going to be pretty helpful if I need to have extra damage on the Zygarde, because the Zygarde gets to heal itself for 30. So if you place 50 on it, that means 20 will remain, which means that if he is able to get a Magma base Berserk, he can return the knockout. But it looks like Sam is actually just going to go pretty aggressive with his Tapu Lele.
Going to see an energy drive this turn, it looks like. Retreating considering switching one Tapu for another. Retreats to Tapu Lele, and yeah, we will see an energy drive for 110.
Yeah, I don't mind this play at all. It feels awkward taking the flying flip knockout. You don't want to leave yourself that susceptible to an end. So why not place the damage on the board now? And you know that if you get through this Zygarde, as long as Philip doesn't have 2 prize cards remaining, then you're in a great spot to just close this game out with either the Tapu Koko or the Oricorio on those 2 very susceptible Drampas.
Yep, and Philip now field blowing, getting rid of some item cards, adding those to the discard pile, potentially filling that trash avalanche. And there is a Lysander bringing up that Drampa, taking 2 prizes. Phillips down to 2 prizes, just 1 EX or GX knockout away from taking this game and this match. Tapu Koko gets promoted on Sam's side. Top deck is a Hex Maniac.
Yep. So this play actually works out pretty well for Sam. He can use, if he has the N available to him, he can make Philip go down to 2 cards. He can take a bunch of prize cards right now, and he knows that it's very difficult for Philip to close out the game this following turn because there's no Drampas on board.
Yes, Sam now behind, but behind in prizes, but like you said, perhaps ahead on the board. Just has to make sure that nothing can go wrong. Going to take his time and consider exactly how to sequence this next turn. Would definitely like to snatch a victory here if he can. There's an Ultra Ball getting rid of the Hex Maniac and an Oricorio.
Yep, and Sam's just gonna look through. I don't even know if he has to take the Tapu Lele for the N there, I guess. If he had the N in hand, he obviously wouldn't have done this, but he is able to set up that play that he's been looking for. Just get Philip's hand down as low as possible, so there's no possible way that a Berserk and a Lysander and the double colorless Lysander for the Berserk is possible. As long as that can't happen, I think he's okay.
Yeah, so he does Wonder Tag for the N. Not quite playing it yet, and he has a few other options in his hand, most notably attaching that energy to the active, and now here we see the N. Sam gets 6 cards, Philip gets 2. Sam is going to take 4 prizes, it looks like, this turn, so he is going to even things up a bit.
And that's a huge hand for Sam. And Philip's only going to have access to 3 total cards, 2 for the N and 1 for his draw, which means that Sam's likely going to be able to close out this game. He'll have 10 cards in his hand along with a draw to be able to find a Lysander or whatever he needs to win this game.
Yep, so here we go, the 2 cards for Philip, 6 for Sam, and Sam has orchestrated himself into a pretty nice position here. Went down quite a bit on in prizes, but is now going to come right back and even things up with a flying flip.
Yep, and he just wants to check how many total items are in his discard pile. He doesn't want a Garbodor to surprise his Tapu Lele, so maybe he wants to play a little safer with the item cards.
I think I counted 9. Did you happen to count there?
I did not see it, so that's also a pretty scary part for him too.
Yeah, and there's 4 prizes from Sam, taking the knockout on 2 Drampa GXs, adding 20 damage to the rest of the board.
And yeah, he's just gonna hope to dodge something from Philip. If he does have 9 items, then that means just Lysander should be able to close this out. I don't know the retreat cross on the Zygarde. If
it's a 3.
That makes it mean that means that Philip needs to have the energy as well.
Yeah, I could have miscounted the items. I thought I counted 9, but it was kind of hard to see rather. So we'll see. Philip does have Versus Seeker, which can find a Lysander, but I don't think he has an energy to retreat. So it's going to change things here. I'm just going to play a Bridget.
Yeah, that doesn't help too much. Getting some extra Pokemon this late in the game is not going to put Philip in a great spot. And that means that Sam's hand was not disrupted. That was his supporter for the turn.
Yeah, and there's the Bridget just finding a Trubbish. No other real options. Philip down to 1 prize. Sam just counting it out. There's the double colorless. He can energy drive for the win, and Sam pulls out a game 2 here as these players move into game 3.
And I can't believe that Sam was able to come up with a strategy on the fly like that. I'm sure he's never in his wildest dreams thought, I'm going to have to beat a Zygarde, the mirror match that has Zygarde, when I don't have any way to get damage on my side of the board. I can't ever activate my Berserk. I'm going to have to Righteous Edge almost a dozen times, and he was able to come out with a strategy that won him the game there.
Well, that's really one of the interesting things. I mean, Pokemon classically has always been a matchup-based game, right? You build your deck, you expect to play against certain matchups, and you kind of figure out how they work. You talk to any players about, oh, Sam, what do you do against this deck? He kind of has a strategy going in. You kind of have a general strategy for your deck. Garbodor, if you want to place items, you can punish them. And then for each matchup, you kind of have a general idea of what you want to do. Sometimes it can get down to really granular specifics, just depending on the matchup. But this just shows kind of how good of a player Sam Chen is, where he's saying, my normal strategy isn't going to work. I'm playing against Zygarde for one, so I can't do what I want to do in the first place. But even another strategy I'm thinking of, just even having access to the Team Magma's secret base is not going to happen either. So now I really need to think, how can I orchestrate this game differently? I think there's a lot of players in this room, even now that we've cut down to 64, even who would not have played, would not have been able to win that game, would not have played the same as Sam, would not have, made so many decisions to Righteous Edge, cut his opponent off of energy, build up damage, set up that Tapu Koko attack. It just really shows you how good Sam is at actually playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's just showing why he's here and why his record is as good as it is. And now we're going to see if he's able to do that and play fast, because he's got 4.5 minutes to close out a Game 3 if he wants it.
Yeah, with that being said, there were some major missteps from Philip there, so it's not exactly like he had, his full. It's not exactly like Sam after playing one game kind of figured out how the matchup works and broke it. Philip definitely had some weird draws there, and Sam had to kind of do a weird game plan. So I wouldn't suspect that's how the matchup actually works.
I would still say that Philip is definitely favored in this matchup. This seems very difficult.
Yeah, just the presence of that Zygarde is just so powerful. And we did see Sam started with that Drampa GX. Looks like Philip took a mulligan. Both of these players, I'd expect to see their pace of play quicken as we get down to, I think, under 4 minutes left in the round. Let's take a look at Sam's prizes. Just one Magma-based prize this time, Tapu Koko prize as well. He will not be able to pull off that flying flip strategy he did last game. We can take a look at Philip's. Oricorio Psychic, not really much. Let's see. Sam actually starts with Trubbish, rather. And Philip will be going first here in Game 3. Attaches a Psychic to the Drampa and just plays an N. Yeah,
Philip, that's not a very great turn for him so far. He's going to need to find more basic Pokemon in order to feel a little bit of a safety net, because he knows that Sam, if Sam's given 2 turns, Berserk is able to take down just about anything in his deck.
Yeah, neither of these players have access to the actual clock. They don't know exactly how much time is left, but they're both very aware they're both very experienced in tournaments, aware of what's going on. They know that there can't be much time left, and you'll see it's going to change their strategy a little bit.
He has a Sycamore in his hand for next turn, but once again, no basic Pokemon.
Yeah, he says a Garbodor in hand has to pass the turn. Going back to Sam's turn now. Trubbish active, Drampa on the bench. Psychic Energy on the Drampa. Looks like Sam considering what to discard with an Ultra Ball now.
Yeah, Sam has the Ultra Ball, which means Tapu Lele, but he's in an awkward spot as far as, do you go for a setup like with Fan Club and get yourself a second Tapu Lele for another supporter, or do you just go for the N here and just maybe you can keep Philip's hand just as bad? It just really depends on how he's feeling about this. Obviously, the more Pokemon that you can get down on your side of the field this late in a game, this late in the match rather, you're going to feel better.
Yeah, you just want to kind of guarantee here, above all else, that you don't just lose the game. And with 3 Pokemon, you can feel pretty confident in that Ultra Ball does find a Tapu Lele. Wonder Tag getting activated. Sam looks like he's just going to take an N. He pulled that to the front of his deck, but of course going to look through his deck just to make sure what is prized and what's left. Even when you're in a position like this where you don't have much time left, it's really important not to make any crucial mistakes because you didn't remember what your prizes were.
Yep. Just going to look through, make sure. Don't remember if the Fan Club was prized. Maybe that option wasn't even available to him. So it looks like the N is what he's going to favor.
He's already attached this turn. Does have a choice band that's going to find its home on that Drampa GX, and here's the N.
Yeah, little curious to see him play the double colorless energy, or the Psychic rather than the double colorless. He has access to more Psychic energy, and if Philip uses a Lysander and uses Righteous Edge, you're not. It doesn't really. Like, you weren't going to win the game anyways. It was going to take longer than the game would. If you know what I'm trying to get at, I think it would take too many turns for the game to end anyways.
Right. If that happens, it's kind of irrelevant either way.
Right.
The N is resolving 6 cards for each player.
And Philip probably taking a sigh of relief there. He is able to find, I believe that's the Zygarde along with, or is that a Tapu Lele? And he has the Ultra Ball to go find Zygarde likely.
Yeah, we see Sam play that Oricorio, just a concession to the fact that it is late in the match. We're just under 20 seconds here. Tapu Lele hits the board for Philip. Wonder Tag will get activated. And it looks like time will be called on Philip's turn. We could be a few seconds off, but we'll let you know when Judge does call time. There's a Bridget. There's a Zygarde.
Yeah, and then that means this game will not end.
Yeah. And yeah, it looks like time, if it hasn't been called already, is going to be called on this turn. Philip taking some time to look through his discard pile again, just checking what is prized and what's not, making sure that he doesn't make any kind of horrible mistake. And looks like it is turn 0. Both of the players shrug, shake hands, and they will be taking an unintentional tie here. Never what you want at this stage in the tournament. Kind of unfortunate how Philip probably spent a lot of that game too thinking he was going